Okay, cool.
All right. What you want to talk about?
Word.
Vaccines or something? I don't know. I really don't have.
You mean the waxes?
Yeah.
You been getting waxed?
Yeah.
I got all this hair. Everybody's telling me I gotta wax it. Like nature gave me this hair. It's cool.
Yeah. It's like if a kid said, "You gonna get the vaccine, mom?" That's what it sounds like, right?
Yeah, get the waxing. You know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, no, really, yeah, it should be a code word or something for people that that want to congregate and communicate, because you can't say anti-vax, you can't say so many things, and they want to distance people, and so people can't see each other. It's hard. They're making it harder for people to see each other in person, and then online everything's censored. So it's got to be some type of code word or something that people can put together. I heard in France they got people wearing little hearts, like little heart stickers and stuff on their sleeves, so they know that they're not with the vaccine.
okay.
I don't know.
I can see that. We working on the conversation. Like the conversation's getting crafted. We all the code words, so nothing gets flagged and everybody gets it.
Yeah, I'll be doing whatever I can with the characters, trying to change the characters. Cause I got my Instagram deleted for just saying Civil War, I guess, with no warnings. My shit got deleted, so
Yeah.
I don't even be wanting to play them, around. I gotta really be clever with the shit, you know what I mean?
Yeah, completely different angle. We could go at it,
Yeah.
and I mean,
People have to get creative.
exactly. And in light of that, let's do it. Like I want to go just from a completely different angle. Like not even talk about vaccines, because yesterday we went deep on the diet, and or just on the fasting. And I feel like the biggest takeaway from that is just like seeing how you can get to a point where you see where it's headed, and then you realize this is what is actually natural, but no one's doing this and so, at all. And there's no other reference points to go off of, but you're still heading the direction that looks like it's really holistic, really promising for just eternal health or wellness, things like that. And I wanted to tie it into Tantra and just bust it.
Okay.
Because I feel like it's the same thing. Like as far as realize, like if you get to that point where you realize, like, could I just go my whole life just not eating or not eating the food that I thought I wanted, but can I just go my whole life, with juices and what would be green juices or coconut water and stuff? Could I go my whole life without busting?
Yeah.
Is that and as far as like it being something where I'm seeing an issue in my own personal story, like about coming up on it as like a 10-year-old, a 12-year-old, 13-year-old ejaculating at that age, seeing porn, and what really is going on with that as far as a suicidal energy. I need a more clarification on how busting a nut is suicidal.
Yeah.
How is that?
Oh man, well I guess it's just that petite more energy, because that's what it is, you know what I mean? And I'm talking about France again, I guess, but the French word for ejaculation is petite mort, and it means little death. And I feel like everybody kind of does little deaths, little suicides throughout the day.
Whether it be a cigarette, a hot dog, or busting a nut.
Yeah, it's a bunch of little deaths, you know what I mean? Or just like identifying with a thought that's, rancid. So I think that it's really just that, you know what I mean? And then it just culminates, I guess, into a big little death, which would be ejaculation. Because, like, the pressure just going to change the more that you do little deaths. You know what I mean? You're just going to have that demiurge or whatever people call that self-harm urge. And then the more that grows, it's just going to grow into higher forms of suicide. And then, for a male, ejaculating without without consciously creating like a baby, that is, a pretty high form of suicide. You know what I mean? I feel like it's just like a cyclical, like harvest, like cropping that suicidal energy. Like something is getting you to identify and like commit to suicidal energy. You harvest it, and then, then you just get your head chopped. You just get spiritually decapitated every so often. Some people do it more than others, but yeah.
A lot of people read Stuffed Pig. I feel like we get it conceptually. Like I've had it so long conceptually, like, okay, I see how that's suicidal. But I feel like more intuitively, if it is my essence, I just don't use it.
Yeah.
It just gets wet if it be shit. If that's potential life force, those are the copies. Those are actual copies, and like that's me. That there should be some intuitive sense, like this is wrong.
Yeah.
Like this. But I feel like because of the separation in the consciousness, a lot of people could just be going through that behavior, and then it's just like it doesn't feel wrong. But conceptually, it's like, what do you mean suicide? Like, what do you mean petite? Like it makes sense. But why is it so addictive? What is that? And it really goes into like micro suicides that kind of build up to that, to just busting it and wasting it. But it's like it kind of with the diet and food that I knew killed me. You know, if maybe I was like 11 or 12, and you know, mom would leave, you know, maybe for a few hours a day, I'd bust like 4 nuts or something like that, and then eat garbage.
Yeah.
You know, and be eating garbage while I was going on, totally unaware that I'm killing myself.
Yeah.
But in that, killing myself, and so it kind of is building into this like, this me unconsciously wanting to die.
Yeah.
and like through just like busting the nut is just like, that really just kind of keeps cementing that into my consciousness. And then, but when you get to learn about the Tantra and not doing it, and then being able to see how the whole goal for most people, insects, is that nut, is that death. When moving over to Tantra, the whole goal of it, if you're not busting, is a
life.
Life.
Yeah, production. Yeah, production.
And union, and you could get into feeling that and experience that, where it's the same thing if you were on, like, as you were on, like, maybe like 80 days of coconut water and whatnot, and you're seeing like I eat to actually for life and to nourish, and you could go the rest of your life like that, and then you could be also adjusting to, you know, creating with others, or co-creating on that same level, and I feel like those are on par, so that's why I wanted to bring it up.
Yeah, I mean, it's a wild thing, the identity thing. It really is an identity crisis, because like people are identifying with their body, but it's such a disconnect between body and consciousness in a lot of ways, because like you don't see any other animal that pulls out and ejaculates and frivolously. It just doesn't happen. You know, you don't see anything going through the sexual ritual and stopping at some point. So that just lets you know that you're not your body, because your body doesn't want to stop creation, you know what I mean, the creative process. It just wants to unify and merge with more truth, you know what I mean, or the truth. So like that, you know, that's just that's a funny thing there, where people feel like they're giving into these lower desires, identifying with these lower urges and stuff like that, or carnal urges, whatever, what have you. And the body itself just wants to create, and they're just raping their own body, because the body is not, they're just, you know, that's pretty much.
The body wants to create, the persona wants to die.
Yeah, it's got to be a parasite. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It has to be some sort of parasite getting between that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like intercepting all that energy.
That natural process.
Yeah, and you know, it's just, and the more that you clear the body out, the more that you could really listen to it, you know what I mean, and trust it. And then, you know, you can operate from sincerity. And then, you know, it's like you said, man, like, you know, can I really do this or whatever? It's, you know, for the rest of my life or whatever. I really just feel like, you know, it's just it boils down to your sincerity and your experiences, I guess, like, because like in the Tao Te Ching says, it says the world can't be improved. Do you want to improve the world? The world can't be improved. The world is sacred. You know, it can't be improved, because it's something it's perfect in its own right, and then to try to tamper with it, you just tamper with yourself, your own process, like. And it's like the world will be the world. There's going to always be large masses of people that are just Sahu men or whatever, that are just always just drones that are pretty much just projections, you know, 80-90% of the people. And
just echoing information, having no knowledge.
Yeah, they're going to follow the other 10 to 20% of the people that have a little bit more knowledge or a little bit of self-awareness or whatever, what have you. And so, like, you know, that's just the process of things, you know, and I guess you just got to... Well, what I've seen is that you just got to really just be sincere and accepting, like, you know, the path is what it is. Whatever's for me is for me. I can't miss what's for me. As long as I stay being myself, then I'm on my path with myself, and everything that comes on that path is myself, and I need to greet it accordingly. But, like, the more that, I guess, that, you know, we try to tamper with things, tamper with the processes and stuff, like, it's really a wild thing, man, with the Tantra thing, with different people, because it's, you know, you got dudes that want to come or think they want to come, and then you got females that think they want you to come, and neither one of them things is true.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's like, I can't even be good to a female if I'm just ejaculating frivolously. It's just depleting my energy, and I'm going to resent her subconsciously and consciously. And then I can't treat her good. I'm not treating me good. And then it just creates this horrible relationship between male and female.
And it is on par. Like I would, if my mom fed me food that killed me, that was slowly killing me as a young person, unconsciously I would resent her for doing that. And then also if my girlfriend or whoever I'm with, my partner, is pulling the seed from me to where it's killing me, I will unconsciously.
You might feel at home in that.
I could.
You might feel at home.
Oh
in
yeah,
it.
if my mom, yeah,
you might feel at home in it.
I mean, at home unconsciously though.
Yeah.
Cause I feel at home, you know, in the waking consciousness of her feeding me that stuff. Thank you, but unconsciously in my body, it's like it's just more atrophy.
Yeah.
Or just more getting locked up in a broader scheme of the inner knowing, the core of who I am knows this is killing me. I don't like, so I could resent this person. And same thing, with the partners.
Yeah.
You know, it's like constantly, she wants that nut or whatever. It's like,
she's
great.
Just getting the scraps.
Like guys, this is what I saw in that. You know, it's like in those videos. You know, and that's just what it is. It's like you in the waking, you're like, but the core of you knows.
Yeah. No.
This is not for life.
Yeah.
And that's that resentment that'll happen on her. Like a lot of dudes be getting angry out of nowhere over time.
Yeah.
Like at this woman.
And domestic abuse.
And she's like, what? Like you get pissed off for no reason.
She feeding him that food and taking his nut.
Yeah. But a lot of people, again, like I said, a lot of people watching this probably already saw or read Stuffed Pig. But that's all that it was about, and that was what that's the realization. That's the conceptual part of it. But I just want to go more into the intuitions about what's going on for real. And, this is still a widespread thing to where I feel like if we get on top of this, we get on top of the fasting.
Yeah, because conceptually, all right, for the people that might not know, you eating foods that's inflammatory, it's going to swell your digestive tract and then your rectum.
Your prostate.
Yeah, all of that's getting swollen and that pressure.
Backed up.
And then the blood's welling in there and then so it's a lot of heat.
The prana's welling up.
Yeah, all that heat is down there. It's not going up. You're not breathing it upwards. So it's not circulating. So then you just have it's just a lot easier to ejaculate.
It just pops. Yeah, it just wells up and pops.
Yeah, it's just not the heat's not being circulated.
Yeah.
And so that's like conceptually, you get that like end of it. But yeah, like intuitively, I guess, at this point in my life, I feel like I go through the ovulation processes with females. And then, I put myself and my body in that position to make a decision. I just follow my body. Like, do you want to create? Is this what you want to do? And I haven't met anybody that matched me during their ovulation. I just figured that like at some point of not ejaculating, it would be obvious when to ejaculate. And
at some point of not eating and fasting, it's obvious when to eat.
Yeah.
And fast.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It just becomes more apparent. And I really feel like if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I just see no benefit of releasing seed if I'm not
other than
to create, to like actually consciously create and bring an ancestor, give them a body to come back into. And that's really about it. And I don't know if it's because life just don't want me to copy myself or if I just haven't met somebody or whatever. But yeah, at this point I feel like I can trust my body. The heavy lifting's been done. I've cleaned a lot of it out. It's intelligent enough I can tell when women are ovulating. I can tell when they're on their periods. My body, I can just feel it in my body. And so my body knows, it's aware. And I just can trust it at this point. And it has not brought me to a point where I felt like this was a good decision to make. So until it does, I'm not gonna release, even if I die before it. I don't care.
And that is the way, the tantra. It's only releasing when if you were to release, it's to bring an ancestor forth. And as much as you know yourself, you could probably pick one. You could probably be communicating with that one through the whole process.
Yeah, and then just plot, just.
But otherwise, what? My bad. Sorry.
No, I was gonna say you could look at the births, all the different birthdays and conception dates of the people in your ancestry, and then you can kind of get an idea of who might be who, because at different times of the year, I can feel in my body is more receptive to creating in that way or to like harmonizing with ancestry.
A specific ancestor.
Yeah, different times of year,
Yeah.
of year, and I was like, oh, that's who this is. Oh, this is the conception date, or this is the birth date, or whatever. I'm like, okay, this is just the door's open. It's like an open door in these periods, and it's kind of loose. It's not so exact, you know what I mean? It's like true perfection seems imperfect. It's like it's not the most exact thing when it comes to like the dates. It's exact in the way that it's perfect. It is what it's supposed to be. It's exact that way, but in a human exact perfect Gregorian calendar way, it's not. You're always gonna have like a little bit of like gray area. I guess.
It'll show on the calendar, relative, like generally, but our point of reference is not in time.
Yeah.
So but we do pay attention, to whatever numbers and moons with the moons under, and I want, and so it's that, so you could consciously bring forth ancestors, as much as you know yourself, but besides that, there's also just the holding of an image of what you want. And you both have that image, and are coming into union with that vision. And there could be rituals done to just actually like uphold more harmony in life.
Yeah.
And create, as a creator, in the Medu Neter, it covers like this 72-hour ritual, where they're doing it. But it started with this story. I forgot the name of the god. I think it's not Krishna. It was like it was the name of one of them. Maybe Shakti or some. What it was something. I'm gonna have to like, I'll come back to it. But it was this
or
dude.
Put it in the comments, I guess.
Yeah, I'll leave it in the comments. The dude was he walked in on the dude having sex with this yogini, and it was supposed to be a deity. He's like, what's up? And then the deity's like, can you explain to me how sex isn't sacred? And he had no arguments. And so then he had to learn, like, them doing that was them holding up the world. Actually, actually upholding, like, what that is in the world is like a harmonic field of unity or wherever. And that's where it went into explaining how in Kemet or this certain initiation practices, even, the cult of Isis, like people talk about these things where they really go in and they work with the Tantra like that to actually bring forth whatever creation just through visualization and dual cultivation like that. So it's not, if you're not having a kid or bringing forth an ancestor, here's also what's going on, like as far as what I'm seeing conceptually.
Yeah. No, and it's like you were saying about the images and then the pornography. I kind of feel like I kind of got lucky because I was right on that bridge there where I didn't have internet as a kid, and so my only pornography that I was around was like Hustler magazine. My brother's 7 years older, so I run into some of that stuff here and there, but it's not the same. It's it's still two-dimensional in a way, but it's not the same as like actually seeing physical pornography, like watching it live or whatever on video.
Romantic pornography.
Yeah, it's different, man. So I feel like I did a lot of my masturbating as a child, just mentally, just off of just like going into a trance state with myself, and I really feel like it saved me in a lot of ways because I feel like if you ejaculate and you're watching something, it doesn't breathe back, and then all the crystals too on the screen.
Just absorb that.
Yeah, all that energy getting hemorrhaged. So I feel like really like in a lot of ways though, ejaculation, doing it by yourself, the energy doesn't get lost as bad. Still probably some, of course, getting seeped out through parasites, but
if there's not a screen there, if there's not a liquid screen there you're putting your attention into while you're doing it, it's different.
Yeah, it's not as randomly scattered.
Like spiritually, qualitatively, that's what's going on.
Yeah, like I feel like for me personally, that I did so much masturbating at different periods in my early life that's really what made my right arm strong enough to throw the ball 70 yards. I swear to God, like all the sexual energy, it really just because my right arm being associated with my liver, and I probably had parasites in my liver that were creating the trance, that were, making me think that I wanted to have sex, and then I was jerking off using the right arm. It's just basically they had control. They had the control, and so I just didn't know that they had that much territory in my body. I didn't know. I just thought it was all me. So like I really feel like that all my energy was just welled up in this area of my body, in my liver, and in my right arm. And then my right arm just got immensely strong, and then I was able to, play football, go across the country, and take scholarship, and play overseas and stuff, and meet people. And if I never did that, then I would have never got into the other hustles that I got into and getting this place and stuff like that. So it'd be wild, like how it happens. Like I feel like it's so powerful, you know, just ejaculation is so powerful as far as like the way it's gonna direct your entire life. And
The whole thing.
yeah,
From the root.
yeah, man, and just the being introduced to images like that, you know, of sexuality, I could definitely see like just from being exposed to porn, the females that I would gravitate towards in an unconscious way, and in an unconscious way, I mean more so like just the eyes on my face. I'd be just like distracted by them, like and just attracted, and I'd be just confusing the magnetism and attraction for something greater than that.
Yeah.
You know, and then so I'd be always looking at, you know, just from porn, it was like certain body types and certain things that got embedded into me that I felt like I like that or I don't like that, and then it really just took like a lot of going through that process, running through females to realize that, man, I don't even like this type of shit. This was embedded. This was like conditioning. This is all conditioning here, and yeah, and you know, I kind of always knew it. You know, my brother was always like kind of like, you know, certain things with porn, he was just really picky. And, you know, I don't know if it's just the Libra in him or what. I don't know what that shit is, man. But he was just always so picky. And it kind of stuck with me, certain things, like the things that he would avoid. And he'd be like, you know, just saying. Because he always, like, communicated it to me, like, you know, this is gay. You know what I mean? Like, this is gay to watch porn. To watch another dude do this, this is, like, quasi-homosexual. And I was just like, yeah, you know, it made sense to me. You know what I mean? And it just, like, I was like, damn, you know, motherfuckers are just sick at some level. And so that's why, like, you know, I never really got too deep into porn until I started wanting to do it. Until I started to like kind of study who's the top 100 just so I could see what's out there, so I could be like, all right, man, if I'm gonna get into this field. Same way with like you would do with basketball or something. You know what I mean? Football, but who's on the court? You know what I mean? Let me see who's good or what they doing. And that's like kind of when I got into porn. I could see like, just just studying it. You know what I mean? I was just watching it like, damn, this is crazy how like this is attacking people's senses. This is really an assault on your imagination, on your physical body.
Just the same as being exposed to sugar at a young age.
Yeah.
Is assault on your palate and your consciousness.
Yeah, and so now you can't even taste without it.
Yeah, so now people can't even bust without going in their fantasy about
certain type of stimulation and stuff
that are all just arbitrary preferences.
Yeah, and I think that's what kind of saved me in some ways, like being imaginative with my masturbation as a kid, because when I got into the Tantra, and like it really got, like, because it created a conflict of interest where I would be seeing females with my eyes on my face, and they'd be attractive, and then, you know, to the general population, anybody else would say, like, yeah, you gotta have sex with this chick, like, why wouldn't you? So, like, you know, I was doing that, and then I would also have sex with females that, to me, I could see what was pretty or beautiful in them or whatever, and it was maybe it would be intangible things, but it really became like more energy based. I was just more like, man, you know, I'm pleasing you pleases me, so, and the only way I can do that is if you have energy that I can work with. And so even if you're the most attractive physically, supposedly, if your energy's not there, then I can't even.
That's something you get over time.
Yeah.
As far as what you're sensing from where this is headed.
Yeah.
Like it was last time.
Yeah.
There's a time for that.
Yeah. Just
they're not getting a feel for this. Like, okay, there's more to.
Yeah. It just like really became down to which females are the most creative.
Wow.
Which ones are the most. Who's cultivating their energy? Like, you know, I mess with females that don't speak no English. We don't have no conversations. Only time we do talk with words is through Google Translate. Other than that, we just have like a totally emotional relationship with just a lot of emotional intelligence and communication. To where I don't have to speak.
Yeah, that's.
And then and then different times, females would be not as pretty, but they'd be witty, and I would just think that the wit is beautiful. Or like if they have a bunch of crafts that they do, I'd be like, damn, it just brings out certain things in them and certain things in me when I be around them, when they're doing that. And like whatever it is, you know, I used to mess with this one chick that used to crochet, and like she used to just do that shit like.
She did stickers too.
Religious, stickers, yeah. She did stickers, same chick, yeah. She used to do. She had a bunch of crafts, you know. I always like point to her because she was just not bad, you know what I mean. In the face, her body was straight, but like her face was not, you know what I mean, what people would think.
But beneath that,
and
it's creativity.
It became to
creation.
It became that, like, and then it's really a psychedelic experience, like. When I would close my eyes during sex, it's like not much different than on psychedelics. You know what I mean? Like all this would light up, all these endorphins would be going. My body would be deeply relaxed, like psychedelics. You know what I mean? Like you really are become the psychedelic. And then females tell me the same thing. They're like, man, it's really like fireworks in my head when I close my eyes. You know what I mean? Because like, yeah, it's because I'm cultivating my energy, and then I'm cycling it through yours, and you know, just spitting it back at you. And then so like,
And that's all you can do past that, past all like a lot of experience to where all you're really like dealing with is the energy.
yeah,
And you be seeing it. You're dealing with it on that level.
yeah. I got in touch with my inner vamp for sure, because you know, I really just started to see, like that I was just mining females. Like it was like Bitcoin. I was just mining Bitcoin.
Yeah, like what do you mean mining?
Like every chick has like a certain amount of sexual energy that she can go into sex with.
And that experience that you're having in sex when things are lining up, everything's happening, it's psychedelic. Like, wow, you really just getting that. Like, what are you going for? What's the energy you're in it for?
I mean, like just like the longer they can last. You know,
So long
something.
as that's there.
Yeah, if I can make them come easily, then it's like, I don't know, maybe that's just me competing with myself. But when the more that they come, if they come easily and they can come a bunch of times, it's not bad. It's not the worst. But like, you know, some females, I can't, you know, I'm in it for the cycling and the cultivation. So it's like kind of like I'm blind. They could be faceless. It's got the point now where it's just like, if I'm compelled to please you, then that's what I'm going off of. My own sincerity doesn't really matter who they are. And like, it's going to feel good because I'm going to be feeling myself. I'm feeling my own energy go through them and come back through me, and I'm just like amplifying it because they're just amps or vamps, or either both of us, I guess. But
Yeah, because I feel like we're still missing something. Because you've been looking at yourself a lot like a vamp recently. Just like,
I mean, I've
because of
always
this,
been, though.
just feeling you're like exposing this process, like
Yeah.
in your psychology of having sex. You know, you're saying that, man, I'm basically a vampire. I'm basically a sexual energy vampire.
The incubus,
But what do they get? I feel like they begin. There's an exchange always. You know, like it feels like you're tapping a well, but maybe you're still.
They realize how much they want sex, and they want sex more than me. And then I just take their energy every time they want it. And then they start to feel like, damn, he's doing this for me, not for him. Only thing that's for him is the energy. And then they realize that they become more of a snack than something else. And then they can just see how much they want carnal pleasure. So, you know what I mean? Most
They're
females...
still getting carnal pleasure from you. You're coming from a tantric angle. They're still coming from a romantic angle.
Yeah.
And I feel, and this is what's creating some situations.
It lets them know that they're not shit either. You know what I mean? And then I'm like, look, we're cool. You just want to bang. You're not any different than any guy.
Wow.
And then every female doesn't want to accept that they're the same as every dude. You
Yeah,
know
I mean, I struggle with that to this day.
Yeah, like...
Like,
yeah,
no, I'm different.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I mean... I just feel like every, you know, chicks want to act like they're different from us. And it's like, you just got an innie. We got outies, you got innies. We're all the same. You know what I mean? Like, if you haven't cultivated your energy to a certain level, then, you know.
To where you can get with this outie.
Yeah.
In an equal way that it's not imbalanced. So eventually it dries out. Like, like the whole thing.
Exactly. Yeah. And then, like, you know, so I feel like I've inhabited more of my brain than a lot of people. So, like,
it's just more blood.
Yeah.
And the oxygen circulation. But anyway, continue.
No, so I feel like I can, like, there's areas that I kind of just reside in up here that's not being, like, directly communicated. It's like all unconscious communication from there. Whatever's regulating this part of them. So it's like, in a lot of ways, I am the parasite that's in them, in these areas. You know what I mean? In these upper chakras, I'm the physical embodiment of the parasite that's
by default
leeching them. Yeah.
By default, just sharing that field and engaging in the same experience.
Yeah.
That's just what gets filled in. You kind of just
I become
in their psyche.
Yeah.
But just because there's more awareness and consciousness in those parts of your consciousness, you know that this is happening.
Yeah. And like at different times in my life, I was just like, well, you know, I got the balance to transmute this energy. It's not a big deal, you know. I guess it's the same way when you feel like, well, I can take smoothies right now. I can transmute that. And then you get to a certain point where you're just like, I can't do that, man. I can only do coconut water or, you know, dry fast, you know, most of the, it just reaches a different threshold. And that's kind of where I'm entering with females now where I'm just like, it's so drab, you know, I'm going to ruin sex for myself if I continue, you know, to engage, you know.
It's dynamic.
Yeah, I need to just chill for a while and just see if life has anything to offer me, as far as like females that have cultivated their energy and their awareness to where I'm not just gonna be a vamp by default because again, man, I run into females that swear that they don't want children, and I can feel it off their body.
You run into personas that swear they don't want children.
Yeah, and
their self.
Yeah, their body
is like.
Yeah, their body wants to create and unify, and I can feel that on my body, and I'm just like, man, this whole premise is a lie. This whole conversation is a lie. This whole way we identify.
What do you mean?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
What do you mean?
Like it's all a lie. Like, and so I'm going into it like that. I'm going into it like, look, you're lying. I'm lying as if, this is okay. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm not lying.
Yeah, and they be adult women. You know what I mean? Even if they're like 42 years old. You know what I mean? Like I mess with chicks like that, and they still be like, really lying to themselves. And it's like, no, your body wants this. You're no different from any female, It's
It's just no one even was around to show you that to this point, because it's just such a hidden aspect of life. We're getting really omitted.
It hasn't been activated too, I guess, to the fullest. It's there. It's like activated at some level, but like you were saying, like about the vision. Like I feel like females, like, they got really good vision, but the males are the yang, is the light. So it's like, if the yang's you're not exposed to pure yang, then what they do, that's the light that they use to have vision with. You know what I mean? So it's like, if they're never exposed to that, because females being right brain dominant they're very visual in their thoughts and everything. So like, if there's no light, pure light around them, if their dad didn't cultivate his energy, if his dad didn't, you know what I mean, and they just never been exposed to a male that ever did that, they're just blind 360 degrees, man. They're just, even though it's imaginative, a lot of it is just like other people's imagination and stuff that got injected. And
just fantasies.
Yeah, exactly. It's like just
delusions.
Yeah, just recreations of memories. It's not actually the memory. It's just like their idea of the memory. And like stuff like that,
From a jaded lens.
Yeah.
And with nostalgia tied to it.
Yeah, so you come in.
Try to recreate that, yeah.
Yeah, so you come in with the pure yang, and then they get clarity in that right brain, and they can see things, and they can see who they really are, and they can see their past and their future.
So they just might as well hit heroin.
Yeah.
You might as well just give them heroin.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
No.
Yeah, you know what I mean? No. It's like it is like drugs. It's like an embodiment of drugs, like physical drugs, it's like human lines. Like doing human lines, it's like, I think that that's the problem. That's the issue with Tantra is with because,
so powerful.
I want to share it. I want to share it, but it's like sharing money with someone that is like a baby.
It's never had.
And they just blow it,
And then there's all these sitcom stories and movie archetypical stories that are so embedded already in there that everything to play out after they get that level of energy is just all unconscious because they were operating already from an unconscious place. So it's just whatever's already programmed.
And that's terrible. And it's even worse if you give them the come.
Like it just.
Then they get even more energy they can't handle.
Yeah. Oh man.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then they attract crazy parasites to process that energy.
Yeah, like if there's already compensations they've been making in their whole like being. You're gonna like blow a fuse or something, or like a gas is just gonna get blown because you just put so much energy through that system that's not used to getting that much energy, and then
bad things just happen in my life.
If it's already compensating, there those compensations just get exploded. We got breakdowns. People just losing it because they can't handle this level of energy because they weren't prepped or.
I mean like that's the thing with the situation where I feel like I'm at is like. I guess it's kind of shamanic in a sense where, like, the shaman he stays away from the society. He's both. He's the she and the man. And so he's balanced that to where I guess he don't need that externally. I don't know. But him being separate, he's a greater service to the society, and the society is a greater service to him by not being around him. And,
unless they need a healing.
Yeah, exactly. Then it's like, then they work. Then it's like, it can work that way.
Or an exorcism or something.
Yeah, but, like, my point being, like, I don't know any female that's prioritizing her health in the ways I am in regards to me. Like, I don't know any female that's waking up. It's like, I need to get this breath work. I need to get, 4 to 8 sessions a day. I need, just prioritizing that. Like, that's their life. I don't know, for the last 10 years especially, I don't know any female like that that's got the same amount. I feel like if she existed, I would have already communicated with her. Like, you know what I mean? I feel like at this point, every time I do a session, it's almost like getting further away. So I really don't know. Like, I'd be wondering, like, maybe I could get someone that's youthful, like, younger, that is really well-versed, well-read, and not as damaged because of their youth, and then maybe they don't have to do as much breath work because of the less damage, and then maybe we can meet in the middle that way. But I don't know. I just, at the same time, a lot of the youth, I feel like they just have no discipline, no work ethic, and that's really the only...
No vision.
Yeah, and so it's no arena.
Or no clear vision.
Yeah. I don't know what other arena that we can judge our peers or, measure our peers with besides work ethic, whether you're a janitor or whatever it is. Like, if you had the work ethic, life can't stop you. And I just feel like when I run into females, like they have not trained their body to exhaustion. You know what I mean? I feel like I don't get that too much. A lot of females just work out to look a certain way.
Yeah, but they don't do it.
To push their body to maximum strength. Like, I want to be as strong as possible for any scenario. Like, if I'm doing something, like, I don't know, like, yeah, like we were fasting, pushing Figgy up the hill, a half mile up here every day, these steep-ass hills. And, I know when my body's exhausted, and so I know how far I am from that. So I just always is like, I got to be real, I'm not exhausted. You know what I mean? Like, I already know I got more in the tank. If I'm really just like, if I just stay in touch with my will, I know I could go further.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then I feel like since females don't ever get that sweat equity, to push their body like that, because every time you work out, it's an exorcism. It's exercising. You're exercising demons. You're heating up. It's a self-induced fever to burn off what you shouldn't have put in your body. So the more that you go through that self-induced fever, the more that you realize like what is holding you back, and then the more that you build and destroy in that way, by removing things and then reintroducing them and removing them, constantly working the body, staying at that point of peak physical conditioning to where you can stay being a kid. I feel like females quit on that early. You know what I mean? They're not kids anymore by like 20. Most of them, unless they're like athletes, unless they're like, track stars or gymnasts or something like that, basketball players maybe. Like, I don't see it. And then they're in touch with the breath because of that, because the balance required from being a gymnast or
they don't even know
from running. Yeah.
They didn't realize.
Yeah, so you can work with that. You can work with that work ethic and just apply it into the breath.
Because the light's there, just because it's been moving. They've been moving it through exercise.
Yeah, and then so like, she knows with like, okay, she does sets and she knows working out with a 45-minute workout is just flip the switch and make that a breath session now. And it's there. The foundation is there. The light is there, like you said, and then
like the body's used to getting that amount of light and blood.
Yeah.
The brain's used to getting like flooded with blood, all that stuff.
Yeah.
For months and months and years, like it's just been doing that. So
yeah,
it's the most primed or most prepped body, most primed to make that switch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even chicks that play soccer and basketball and those type of things, moving all the limbs. I feel like those type of females, like, they're the ones, man. Those are the ones that like can go through the natural pregnancy a lot easier too.
With somebody who's been cultivating the life force.
Yeah.
For years.
Yeah.
Like, cause otherwise, like whatever. But it's just if you're having because I feel like it's a problem for you. I feel like you have a serious.
At this point, yeah.
Yeah, it's a serious problem for you to
point,
where it's like when you literally can't really see getting into a healthy situation with anybody other than who's
because I'm going into it. Yeah, they're lying. You know what I'm saying? And I have to lie to engage. You know what I mean? Like, they're lying. They're going to tell me this, that, and the third about themselves because the misidentification. And then I have to really be like, you don't even realize what is you and what isn't you yet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you shouldn't be saying me or my. You should be saying it. So saying me and my and all that shit. I've really been.
And it's 101.
Yeah.
It goes so deep. And yesterday we drew the line between the self and the persona.
Yeah.
But it keeps coming back to this.
It does.
It keeps coming back to this. Like, you think of your thoughts, or if you think of your body, that we're identifying with these things. It's so hidden, but then it starts with exposing children to porn and sugar and processed foods.
And salt.
And salt.
Rock salt.
And rock salt.
Yeah, because sodium is in plants and stuff, you know what I mean?
Straight up.
Yeah, like, that's fine if it's, like, in the fabric, but, like, this fucking crystal rock don't look much different than meth.
Straight up.
You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't.
Straight up. So sugar, it's like cocaine doesn't look much different from cocaine.
Yeah.
It's these white powders and,
Booger sugar.
We give it straight up.
Yeah.
It's because all this mucus.
Yeah.
All this mucus is created from the sugar. And so people are identifying with the person and then getting these layers of really just really rough programming that is normalized as far as like everyone busting, everyone watching porn, everyone eating sugar and salt. This conversation is not relevant.
Yeah.
You know, to
Yeah.
to so many people.
Yeah, no, females really, like, they have a crazy condescending view on, like, pretty much on male. Males are pretty much, like, it's the same.
While they're eating these things.
They're eating the male.
Wait.
You know what I mean? They're eating him. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, right, he's just food. You know what I mean? And then, like, so I flip the script, they become food, and then they can realize, like, oh, this is what we've been doing to males the whole time. I'm like, duh, thank you. Now, can you treat us better? I work on treating y'all better. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like,
We evolve.
yeah, because, like, yo, it's just like everything. The male, it's really a matrix. It's a matriarchy. You know what I mean? The only thing, women think because one reason or another that males run this shit. Is a queen running all parasite colonies. It's always a queen. Whether it's, you want to go into Queen of England or whatever, or Shadow Queen or whatever. Or they call gay males queens. So, like, it's always a queen, one way or another. You know what I mean? Somebody that is very effeminate running the matrix. You know what I mean? The matriarchy. You know what I mean? That's what it is. And it's the sacrifice of males. It's the same way that when people grow weed, they sacrifice all the males. All the male plants get killed. You know what I mean? So it's like the same thing showing itself in every way of our society, that the male is expendable. You know, and that's another reason, I guess, why they want to keep war going. So you could just have a bunch of more, you know, males being gone and broken, you know, families and stuff like that. It's really about cutting off the head. You know, the male is the head, you know, at the end of the day. You know what I mean? It really is.
So spiritually decapitate him.
Yeah.
So he's not
So
operating. So he's just operating from here. He's just being run by the parasites in his bowels.
And he can't protect the female. And so then the female, you know, her essence isn't protected. So then now all she can do is create a toxic persona to try to buffer the attack. You know, and that's it. That's all she can really do. You know what I mean?
Reaction.
Yeah.
To survive.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
It's just like that deep.
You know, and it's, you know, that's
unconscious before you can think about it.
Yeah.
Before you can even think about it, we're falling into these roles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then as far as any female, like, that is identifying with things that are, like, really male, things that are considered, like, are really male successes, those females, like, they've just never been exposed to a divine male, or whatever you want to call it. It's just like what Patrice was saying, man. Like, these females that mess with beta males, it's just like they're playing with their food. You know what I mean? It's like they just, you know, no queen wants a jester. You know what I mean? They don't want, if you jump through the hoops, they've already lost respect. You know, and so it's like really, pretty much like they just want a king. They don't want to win. They want a winner, and that's winning for them. That's the true nature. You know what I mean? Of the yin, is to be the receptive. You know what I mean? To encounter a male so balanced that to submit to him is not separate from submitting to God, because he's not separate from God, and then it's all oneness.
So submitting and reception.
It's the nature of the
Very
yin.
close. Yeah, these two words, like receiving. I want to receive. All set. Like, to intuit wisdom, I have to instill my thoughts completely so I can receive knowledge of reality, which has nothing to do with verbal thinking. And to get to that space where I'm close enough to the source of creation in myself, to where I can I'm receiving infinite information. Can I be receptive to that? You know, this reception of divine energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is so, like it's so key.
The male that
to
can
be able to,
the male that is in touch with his yin is going to be a supreme male, and then the female that's in touch with her yang is going to be the supreme female. You know what I mean? And in her being
so female that's in touch with the male inside, the male that's in touch with the female inside.
Yeah, because there's a receptive male. He's going to receive the seed, like, you know, his seed is going to be, he's receiving that seed, because the seed isn't anybody's, really. It's life's seed.
And he knows that.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So it's like he's receiving that seed directly from the source. He's the sorcerer. You know, and the female is, you know, the extension of that. You know, she's receiving. Like, we're all receiving. You know what I mean? Everybody's receiving and experiencing the reception. You know, and then,
in virtue of their nature.
Yeah, and then
the true nature.
Yeah, so everybody at some level is submitting. You know, everybody's, you know, the best leaders are good followers or whatever. The male's following God, the female's following the male. You know what I mean? And the children follow the female, and then there's a healthy family. You know what I mean? And it's just, you know, a lot of people just get lost in with that, calling that the patriarchy, Judeo-Christianity and everything, but all that existed before Judeo-Christianity. Like, all of that was there. That had already existed. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
And so, it's kind of ridiculous. That's why, in the Hebrew faith, they look at it like, who's your father is going to determine, the line of the seed bank that you come from. We're not looking, the mothers are the receptors. The father is showing you the line, the linear seed bank, in a sense. And then all that Hebrew stuff is Semitic, and that's all coming from the Kemetic, so it's all, coming from the same source. And so that's all predating Christianity.
The same source that we're talking about is undifferentiated, unconditioned consciousness to yin and yang, to the rest of the spheres of the tree.
Yeah.
That all differentiates into all the forms. And it's the same thing across every tree. Going from the Jewish to the Kemetan.
Yeah, like it's all the same bag. Like, people recognize that in a bunch of different ways. People recognize that in a bunch of different cultures that the male is the one that's getting the first alley-oop from God, pretty much. Like, and it's just like a greater responsibility. You know what I mean? At some level, it's like a gift and a curse. It's not that makes him any better. It's like he has to be even more disciplined.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, and then for us to experience the phenomenal world and sensuality and everything, we need the Eve. It's like the light and then the glow from the light. And again, it's the gnosis. People get lost in the gnosis, like, because everything's oneness. The body is the Eve, male or female. It's the Eve. The light is the breath. It's still running?
No, we're good. Yeah.
The light is the breath. And then the more dense it gets, it becomes the blood or whatever. The blood, creates the bones, which, creates the you get your tissue. That's your, like, the way it's going, the way it's going. The breath, blood, bones, tissue. So that, like, everything, and the external is the Eve. The internal is the atom. You know what I mean? And so it's like in the gnosis end of it, if people really looked at the Bible in that way, then they could see it, that it's the tree. It's just an expression of the tree of life as well, and it's just all there. Like, if you're looking at it like, I've mastered my Eve, I've mastered my evil, my external, this, which is part of the matrix. This is part of the hologram. This is the matrix.
Mastering the Eve, the egg, the flesh, the body, the persona. You're identifying with universal will. And the will that says, no, I'm not going to go into these emotional bouts. That's you getting out of that to master Eve. You're building your will. Your will's growing.
Yeah.
Be above all that.
Yeah, and it's just like, your body being the tree of life, and which area are you picking fruit from? You picking fruit from eternal places, or you picking fruit from the tree of good and evil, which would be like a tree of duality or separation.
Are you making choices in infinity or making choices in time?
Yeah.
Are you making choices relative to time and linear gratification, or non-linear infinity, gratification or satisfaction with yourself as everything?
Yeah.
And nothing at the same time.
Yeah, and that's just gonna come down to, like, just realizing where you came from. You realize where you're going, and then there's no rush. You don't live in time.
Yeah.
Because you're just like, well, I already, why? Like in the Tao Te Ching, it says, like, if you realize where you came from, you become disinterested and amused, because you just like realize I know where I'm going is where I came from, one way or another. So everything that happens in between is just like exercise on my way to returning to myself.
Yeah. How do you find out where you came from?
It's really just the.
Is information? Can you do it with info?
It gives you a good. Yeah, I'm saying it gives you a good contrast against like what isn't. It's like the body is what it's the it.
When you're getting
it's the
ready.
not self.
Yeah.
Yeah. Information's like the not self. You know what I mean? The presence, breath, all that. The intangible is the non-being or the non-substance that is the awareness or the consciousness. Like, the more that you get that contrast, give yourself that contrast, the more that you can realize what isn't you, and then in that, then you realize what not to do, and then that shows you what to do and who you are and who you aren't and everything.
But even then, we're moving beyond having to go through it, learning about things, thinking about it and then being, because we're being about it.
Yeah, exactly. Just being your best instead of doing your best, and and everything. It's just, because you can't improve yourself. You can't better yourself. The self is already perfect. It's already complete. You can't add to perfect. So you're just going to disrespect the perfection, trying to add or better it. And that just comes to a lot of people's misidentifications. People really identify with their behaviors. Like, I need to better myself.
It's doing that and then using information thinking it's knowledge.
Yeah.
Because I'm doubling back on this. Because this is what I'm trying to get. Because this is why I asked you. Like, how do you find out where you came from? Stuff.
Yeah.
And is it with the information? Because I'm saying that there's just as much as there is a huge problem with people not having a difference between their persona and their self. There's also a huge problem that people don't see the difference between information and reality.
Yeah.
And how information, as far as using language for it to process it, they're only symbols. It's only a symbol for the knowledge of reality. It's not the actual knowledge of the reality.
Yeah.
The information is just symbols for the knowledge of reality. And so get into where, like, if you're seeing the tree of life, so there's not one way to find out where you came from, where you're going. But a personal story from me about how it's happening is if I look at the Tao, or if I look at the I Ching, if I look at the Medu Neter, which also there's the Cabal, and there's other trees too for other people. There's more than one way, but one way I'm looking at it, like, dang, like, just to see how it starts out where then I got the term, because I said it was an arbitrary imitation that you can only do, but it's indiscriminate imitation. A baby can only indiscriminately imitate what's happening in the environment as it's identifying with the persona in the lower spheres of the tree of life. And when you're getting ready to climb up the tree of life out of the persona, we're learning about information conceptually and getting the info as symbols, but then we're seeing the difference between information and knowledge, and really starting to get out of thinking I'm who are my thoughts and my body, and then even getting out of thinking that knowledge is just reading or getting conceptual stuff to build, adding on more concepts and things to think you're getting somewhere when it's not. And we're even getting to other spheres of the tree all the way to zero, where it's the concealed part of it.
And like you were saying, and we were talking about the other day, like, you can have a million conversations, but sex is a way better conversation. It's a physical conversation, but it's more than just physical.
Yeah.
And then it's like, I feel like, just that's because, like, it's the embodiment, it's really experienced at that point. You can really experience that you're not your body if you have sex with conscious breath, whether it's fast or slow. It's still, you can experience, like, oh, I'm not the body, I'm really, the body's in motion, And I feel like just experiencing the embodiment lets you know where you come from, And it's a lot easier if your family's together, if you had a family that somebody embodied it. Or even if you just have a picture. Like, I feel like if you have a picture of the oldest relative, like, and a lot of people are just so far away at this point that their oldest relative is still extremely colonized and diluted. You know what I mean? And so, like, if you got a really, old picture of an old ancestry, especially if it's, a heavily melanated person, seeing that face and the core of their face really, you can see where you came from, Every time I've ever had trips that got sketchy on psychedelics when I'm hallucinating, I just think of my oldest relatives, and it's just like all the security I need. Just having seen them, really, like, is security in me, and it kind of just lets me know where I'm going, like, because there's no separation between me and them.
And that's exactly how I feel, just seeing the oldest blueprint for reality and how it works and how I'm connected to it. No gaps.
Yeah.
No gaps at
no.
all. It's so to go to the me being differentiated all the way to the undifferentiated, how it's all connected outside of time, not excluding me at all. I feel like I know where I'm going and where I came from.
Yeah.
So I can start to relate and respect life on a different level.
Yeah, it's like, you wanna go home and keep home, being home. You don't want home to be the place where you don't want to be. If you're not being yourself, you don't want to be home. You don't want to return. You don't want. Only time you're afraid to die is if you're not living correctly. And so, like, any other time you're like, well, it'd be homecoming. Kill me then. You know what I mean? Like, kill me then. Like, I realize from heaven I came and to heaven I shall return. I do not seek enduring works on earth. Like, it's that's the 10th law. And I feel like that's the seed. Really, Geb is the seed, and it grows up the tree. And everything. But so it's like just realizing that you came from heaven and that, in the heaven you shall return. He's like, man, if I'm threatened by death, you're just sending me home. So going into it with that confidence, like in the Tao Te Ching says, it says like, is that he who doesn't fear death will endure forever. And it's just like, it comes down to that. Like, you should be like celebrating it because returning to the source is serenity. So you're just like pushing that line where you're just like almost like not testing death, but pushing that line. Like if me being myself fully means getting killed or dying or whatever, then so I'm just returning back to so it's like
best case scenario.
Nothing. It's like you either get what you need in life or you get it from death. So it's like, it's no fear in that. And I just feel like when that's faith, and I feel like in that people, once you realize that, then you can live your life accordingly because you're not afraid to live because you're not afraid to die. So then your focus is to express yourself because like out of responsibility because you just don't want to subject life or God to, muffled expression or retarded expression.
And it's like, but in your mind, you just don't want to subject yourself to that.
Yeah, it's the same, no separation. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's right there. So I feel like that's really great. It's just such great additional info to go with the cultivation, like the incentive to cultivate and learn more and about how to see this in a way to where the world can start growing into relating to each other way more healthily.
Yeah.
Like, and it really does start with the nut.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, I mean, if there's no quality sperm out here, then, there's nobody to keep anybody in check. Because if somebody gets dominated, the first thing they're going to do is kill the males. And then they'll take the women and children, and then kill the male children probably if they're old enough.
And then get the women's mind, get the women's minds locked up.
Yeah,
and then have the dynamic reversed.
Yeah.
To where,
so if you got a bunch of males that like are respecting their seed, then they're gonna accumulate together. You know what I mean? Like, 'cause again, it's like the same that law of Osar is that nothing and nobody in the world can be against me. That law, it's also saying like there's no enemies. Because nothing's against me, so it's basically a law saying that I want to unify. You know what I mean? Basically, that's the 11 laws are kind of 11 the true desires in a sense. Or
I want to live.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like
I want to be at peace.
Yeah, so if there's nothing and nobody in the world that can be against me, everything is me. So it would just accumulate. Based on my behavior, I'm just gonna accumulate. Like the likes attract, and birds of a feather flock together. In that, then you have that accumulation of a seed bank, basically, a human seed bank. And then everything will follow the light, because mothers follow the light, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's just that. It's pretty much just like harvesting that, just cultivating the light and then everything follows it. It's just like people say, get the money. Don't try to get the women or nothing. Like, get the money and then everything follows the money. It's like, get the light, the money follows the light, and then the women and everything follows the light. Everything's following the light. And so you as a light producer.
But that's a complete system from the light to everything else. If people are just getting the money, you can still get the money and everything will come from it. But it's not, so something's missing.
Yeah.
Something's missing.
Yeah.
It eventually becomes obvious.
Yeah, like they're satisfied with cropping at a certain level.
Yeah.
Like
right.
you can raise the consciousness to here and, say you're in that solar plexus or beneath area, you probably just like, you like nice things, you like nice women. Thing like that. That's what you want. So you're just gonna crop your energy here, probably bust a nut here. If you want like more finer things, more more allegiance with the Creator, then you're gonna create and bust nuts from these higher elements, these higher realms or whatever. And I think that's it. People are just busting nuts. Whether they have the kids or not. You know what I mean? Like, so other people are busting nuts at the Haru level or whatever, the Harakuti levels, these different levels, and they're just like satisfied with the rewards that they reap from that busted nut, because they're throwing seeds, you reap what you sow. Mm-hmm. So it's like, it's kind of just like that, I guess. Some people are just satisfied, like, oh, I got the money and the women, I'm gonna stop here.
Yeah, a lot of people live in physically satisfying lives.
Yeah.
Still busting nuts and eating whatever.
Yeah, and I guess all of the light spectrum is gonna play out, and people are gonna always embody whatever levels there are, because the high depends on the low. And so I guess it's just always gonna be there, It's just like.
Is it do you think it'll eventually this video can go viral and then everybody sees it and they're like?
I think the ratio could change. Yeah. I think the ratio could definitely change. But it's like it's always gonna be here. It's always gonna be homosexuals. It's always gonna be all that stuff. Is always gonna be here. All of the other shades of the light spectrum are gonna exist.
But can it last in eternity?
Yeah, no, I mean, no. Being a homosexual in a sense is like you can't last because you're not creating yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you want to create, then you're not really gay.
So it's not really aligned. All that behavior is like, is in terms of truth. The truth being an eternal dream.
Yeah, and then they become a different servant because it's like people have to go against the truth or not be the truth. So you need the fake to love the real. Like, oh man, all this fakeness, I can really appreciate the real. Like. And so it's nice in that way. Like, I need to know what not to do. Thank you for embodying that. I appreciate your efforts in your lifetime.
Nothing's getting resisted.
Yeah.
It's no good or bad, and like.
Yeah.
But it is as it is in a dynamic.
Yeah.
That's going somewhere.
If you value creation and the creator, if you don't, then, then that shit is whatever. Everything's good. I mean, either way, everything is smooth. But yeah, if you value creation and the creator, then you already know like what is anti-creation. And that's, I guess what you could call anti-Christ at that point, anti-consciousness.
Destruction.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be there. It's always going to be the parasites eating food or processing things that can't be naturally processed so that they can turn that energy into fertilizer for the world to use that energy and, reprocess it and repurpose it. And so it's like everything is serving its divine purpose. So it's smooth. So I guess, everything will be here. It's just the ratio right now. Yeah. It's just if we had more tantric males than females, I mean, it would take like 5 years, yo. It would take like 5 years if that became the norm,
And it's like we're on a grid. We're all cells on this grid, and it's a quantum field. And so it's not, protesting, but just going tantric. Would be enough to just set the field in a harmonic space to where solutions can start to fall into place. Just like if you breathe, if the breath falls in place, everything else falls in place. So the sex is aligned on the grid that we're in, the organic grid that we're in. You could expect miracles.
For sure.
At a certain point.
Because what kind of babies are going to be made from that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I know I was made for some whack-ass sex. You know what I mean? The sex that brought me into this world was with some whack-ass sex. I already, I know it. I can feel it, you know what I mean? Like, just from the sex that I've had, that I've experienced, and I can just tell, like, oh, this is definitely different than what created me. And, I know that's the case for a lot of people, just because, like, being tantric, you meet females that might have had sex with 100 males or 60 males or whatever it is, and then you have sex with them and they're basically a virgin because they've never experienced a male that cultivated his energy, so the electricity is just different. And so it's really like the females get their like mechanical virginity taken, but then there's a tantric virginity. I feel like that, if that cherry was really popped, then it'd be a lot more respect.
Yeah, and that's also like a really and it's just super dangerous if you're doing that to people who aren't ready. Like if there's a girl who's not tantric and she gets that, she has been primed.
None of them are ready.
Oh, it's it's not. It just feels like past a few like rough situations. It's like, man, I'm really not being responsible by getting with this person because they're not even at a certain level of spiritual maturity. Yeah,
and that's what I'm saying. I think I need like 6-7 years of just being alone because like maybe the climate will change if I just like totally withdraw my energy from the field. Maybe it'll change, And if not, then I'll have learned to be content with myself in that time.
I feel like you figured it out by 2022.
That'd be nice. That'd be nice to think.
We just let the answer come.
I just like you said, they're just not ready, you know what I mean? And like after having done this for a long period of time, I don't know who else is in this radius that really is prepared. Like I have to constantly curb my energy to even engage. So it's like, and like you said, the stopping. You with somebody and then you got to stop your progression to try to like fix their problems for them, which is impossible. And that's just constantly what's happening. I just feel like I haven't met anybody with relative problems. Like, we all got the same problems at different paces.
Yeah. So just moving at that pace and that speed. Yeah. And that's just being aligned with the breath and consciousness.
Yeah.
And getting out of time.
Yeah. So that's what I mean. Like, so at this point, what could it be? It'd be some young athletic female that just never tainted her energy too bad. And so she could just transition right into the breath and doesn't feel like such a wide gap. Or it would have to be a really seasoned female and I'd have to probably concede something because most females that have made it to that age are probably gonna have a
Already have
child.
kids,
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, we'll see where that goes.
Yeah.
But I really felt like we covered everything I was I was trying to cover
All right.
for this video, but it really is directly linked with with what we recorded yesterday about fasting and where that's headed.
Yeah.
You know, as far as a sustainable way of connecting with yourself and being healthy. You know, the tantra is right there with it.
Yeah, and maybe the vaccine is just here to take out all the ill seed banks. I don't know. Maybe that's what's happening. Maybe that's just the divine end of it. Maybe the people that are, because this is going to be really important as the years come. Cultivating the seed with a bunch of vaccinated population. It's going to be like that movie Children of Men, when like most of the population couldn't have children, like, and everybody was sterile.
Yeah.
Pretty much facing that kind of scenario if we keep going at this rate with the fake food and everything fake and
Fake food, fake relationships.
Yeah.
I mean, not fake food, but not fake relationships, but fake households.
yeah,
Fake households.
yeah. Communication just be bad.
Damn.
Communication be so bad, man.
Like, cause we were trying to use words and we're identified with our thinking,
Yeah.
and it is principally dysfunctional to be thinking like that. If